cutting in the comments.
Okay,
I mean, that's why I was cutting with the jokes.
Okay, see, so Corey knows how to he knows Zoom etiquette. He definitely knows Zoom etiquette. It's funny because if someone's actually calling me right now, that lets me know that, you know what I mean, that they not registered for the webinar. But, anyway. With that being said, man, thank you guys for joining us this Thursday evening. My name is Jimmy of Buy the Hood. My partner Corey of Buy the Hood and our sister Ivy Investor. We are actually one half of the Black Wealth Project, which is a think tank that we all participate in. And we have a show that we do every Sunday evening live on YouTube and Facebook. But we're here tonight to talk about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and why Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett are wrong about Bitcoin. They've made some crazy remarks about Bitcoin in the past.
Slander.
Yeah, all kinds of slander. Let me
They
read
made
one.
some crazy remarks this week.
They did, but let me read one that someone just sent to me in reference to Charlie Munger giving his opinion on Bitcoin. Because someone just sent this to me, said, "Hey, remember they said this," and I was like, "Oh, damn, they did say that." So, and if you guys don't know who Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are, they are from Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett is widely considered to be the greatest investor of all time. His partner is Charlie Munger. Both gentlemen are in their 90s at this point. But Munger once said that Bitcoin is only good for buying dead baby fetuses on parts of the darknet. So, so that's his opinion of Bitcoin, right? And we're going to talk about why they are wrong as we make our way through this presentation. But thank you guys for tuning in with us on this Thursday evening. But let's get started. And as we start this presentation, we have to let you know that everything we say is for educational purposes only. We are not here giving investment advice. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Do not make any decision and say, I heard it on this webinar. Please consult your financial professional, but we got to get to it. But it's for educational and entertainment purposes only. And that's from the Ivy Investor as well as Buy the Hood LLC. But let's jump into it. Let's start by telling a little bit about myself. I have a business degree in business management, also a master's degree real estate property management. I've been in the real estate game for 20 plus years. I've bought and sold millions of dollars in real estate at this point. I've been a precious metals investor since 2008, which is really relevant to the crypto conversation, believe it or not. I've been a cryptocurrency investor since 2016. I'm a former licensed securities as well as life insurance agent. I'm a real estate analyst, developer, real estate landlord, investor. So I've done everything in the real estate realm. My newest certification, I'm a certified Bitcoin professional. That is a thing. And yes, I do have that certification, which means I'm certified to talk about your favorite trash coins. That's all that really means. I'm a 2-time published author with my most recent works being Own Your Time and Space, which is co-written with my brother Corey here. And I am the founder of buythehood.com. So if you guys have ever seen me online, that's me running the Buy the Hood page with the crazy memes. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk about my brother Corey.
You got to add meme God at the bottom.
I definitely got to do that, Corey. But let's, Corey, tell them about yourself, good brother.
I have a degree in human services. I have 10,000 certifications for education, including English, social studies, special ed, blah, blah, blah. I've owned commercial property, residential property. I invest in just about everything. Most of the time I'm in options. I've been moving more towards crypto because our government been giving away money, a lot of money. And it stinks to high hell what they doing to our economy, not because of the giving away the money, but the way they our elected officials are acting. So I own an educational consultant firm called Baby Camp LLC, where me and my wife run, where we help students and parents with special needs get the services they need from schools, and we help schools provide those services. We have a course, a Buy the Hood course, and for adults and for children, that myself and Jim created. But I do most of the stuff because I'm a teacher, so I set the parameters and then we just run it. And that ownership camp though for the kids, that's absolutely free, right? And that's part of our mission at By the Hood, to make sure that we teach multi-generationally. And the kids camp is one of those things. And Jim also mentioned the book On Your Time and Space. So that's me.
Yes.
And now,
Courtney, the floor is yours, Court.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So, so I've been running the Ivy Investor since 2014. So basically, I'm teaching women how to invest, but I teach men. People ask me all the time, "Do you teach men too?" Absolutely. I have over 15 years in financial services. I started as a stockbroker, moved into, and financial advisor, moved into 401k service where I became a 401k expert. And then I moved into high net worth advising. And then guess what? The market crashed. So I decided to go to law school, ended up in oil and gas when I first started out. And then from there, John says I have a blue check. I can't. I do have a blue check. I had several blue checks, actually. But from then, I started from oil and gas. I started the Ivy Investor, did tax enforcement on the real estate side and on the inheritance tax side. Pennsylvania is one of the very few places that actually has inheritance tax still. I've been featured on CNBC, AARP, New York Mag. You can read the rest. I am an attorney. I have a JD LLM in taxation, so it means I'm just a tax nerd. That's all it is. And I have a certificate in estate planning. Yeah, and so to explain what a blue check is, a blue check, I am verified on Instagram. So I guess it's me. They know it's me on Instagram. I'm also verified on a interactive stock investing app, which is called Public. So I have blue check over there also. But I've been doing this. I'm on the Black Wealth Project with Jimmy and Corey. It's just been an amazing time. I actually have been investing in crypto. I did my first crypto class in 2017, and I've kind of been like dipping my toe in the water. I told Jimmy and Corey, I thought I lost my ETH. I didn't know what I did with it, but I found it today. So now you can't tell me nothing. Like I'm an ETH millionaire. You can't tell me. I was so excited. I can't even tell. I have called everybody I knew. I put it in our group chat. I was like, "Oh, I got my ETH." And then Jimmy introduced me to Celsius, and now you just really cannot tell me anything.
Oh, listen, let's get to it.
Yeah, super excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, man. And by the way, if you guys didn't see Court's most recent thing on CNBC, it's pretty dope. It's on YouTube, CNBC's YouTube channel. So they had her on TV talking about retirement accounts. So that was fire too. And I don't have no blue check. I do got one blue check. I got a blue check on the blockchain. You know what I'm saying? Eve Sweat, that's me on the blockchain.
I have 0 blue checks.
With that being said, let's talk about the topic at hand tonight, and why these older gentlemen are wrong about Bitcoin. And I guess I'll start it off, and we can just have a free flowing conversation. If you guys have any questions, make sure that you ask under the Q&A, or the chat's open as well. But when you talk about Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, right? These guys are both billionaire investors at that. And they have a lot of disparaging things to say about cryptocurrency. But to understand why they say these things, first you have to understand what cryptocurrency is, right? It's a way to get us away from this current monetary system. And the first thing I'll say is this. If any of you guys listening, if you had $1 billion, billions, let's just say a billion, billions, that's what it is, billions of dollars that you've built and created and you captured under one system, and there's a system that comes up which can fully turn that on its head, and it goes against everything that helped you build that $1 billion, what are you supposed to say? So the first thing I'll say as we start this conversation is, I'm not even mad at them. A lot of people in the crypto space get so upset when they speak about crypto the way they do. I don't get mad. I understand why. I totally understand why they talk the way they talk. When you look at their portfolio, it speaks volumes of why they talk the way they talk. So I open the floor up to you guys. Like, when they say the things that they say, like, do you get upset at it, or do you understand?
I understand fully. Like, if you give me 3 checks, right? I mean, if you give me 3 commas and then tell me that whatever I did to get those 3 commas is about to get smashed over the head by some other system, and I spent a lifetime getting those 3 commas, these dudes in their 90s. So they basically looking at everything they've ever built in their entire life come tumbling down because some computer nerd created money on an internet that they didn't think should exist about 20 years ago. So they not happy at all.
Yeah, I mean, Court, what is your opinion about it?
Yeah, I agree. I was crying when I read Berkshire. So let me back up for a second. So Berkshire Hathaway puts out an investor letter every year. And so I'm nosy Nelly. So I'm going back and to see, because I remember them making comments about the internet. And so when Google blew up, when, you know, a lot of these internet, Amazon blew up, there was a lot of kind of commentary going back to what Warren Buffett said in the, you know, at the turn of the century. So I'm nosy. So I got to go back. I went back into the investors letters and I found one from 2000, I believe it was 2001. He's like, we're investing in, you know, the tried and true technology of bricks, you know, concrete or whatever he said. And I was just like, okay, like, fine. And he completely, and I don't say he completely missed the boat. He really, so he's a man of his, for generally, we'll just say in this particular contest, I don't know him and I'm not going to, you know, give him that much credit. But in the investing space, when it comes to this stuff, he pretty much tries to stick to his philosophy or his word. He says, listen, I don't invest in things I understand. And he, in 2001, he did not understand the internet. You know, in 2017, 2018, whatever, he doesn't understand Bitcoin, blockchain, nothing. So of course he's not going to invest in it. But I think Warren Buffett actually was very quiet on the investor call when it came to Bitcoin. And I wanted to read kind of what they both said. So it was a conversation and I was crying. So Warren Buffett goes into this whole explanation about how politicians he says, well, I've watched these politicians dodge questions all the time, right? And he says, I always find it kind of disgusting when they do it. And he said, but this is when he was asked about Bitcoin. He said, but the truth is, I'm going to dodge that question because we've probably gotten hundreds of thousands of people watching that own Bitcoin. And we've got 2 people that are short. We've got a choice of making 400,000 people mad at us and unhappy, and or making 2 people happy. That's just a dumb equation. So that's what Warren Buffett said. So Charlie Munger comes in, rolling in. He says, well, those who know me well are just waving the red flag at the bull. Really, Charlie? Really? He said, of course, I hate the Bitcoin success, and I don't welcome a currency that's so useful. Wait a second, Charlie.
I thought you said it was useless.
He said,
I thought you could only buy baby fetuses.
Kidnappers in our stores and so forth. Nor do I like shuffling a few extra billions and billions of dollars to somebody who just invented a new financial product out of thin air. And I think I should say modestly that I think the whole damn development is disgusting and contrary to the instant interest of civilization. And I'll let the criticism to others. And then Warren says, I'm all right on that one. So that's what the conversation was. And I was just sitting here like I was cracking up. So I was like, oh, Charlie, you let him loose. Okay, cool. But that goes to the point that you guys both made, Jimmy and Corey, the fact that at the end of the day is that everything that they've built their fortune on is about to be turned on their head and they don't understand it. So I would be frustrated as a 90-year-old too. I'm like, I mean, it's kind of like the kids are running around. Like, have you ever seen like an elderly person and the kids are starting to run around their feet and they're like, oh, hey. That's exactly what's going on with blockchain and Bitcoin. They're like just running around and they just don't get it. But again, that's why it kind of reminds us that we can't listen to everything we hear. We can't digest and kind of take it for fact because they already told you how they felt about technology 20 years ago. For us to think anything different, that's silly on us.
This is why I and I've worked in financial services, given financial advice, but the reason I took a step back and decided to teach this way is because I don't want you to take anybody's word for it. And that includes us 3. We're going to provide you with information, but I still want you to go do your research because, I'll be lying if I say I haven't studied these guys and their perspective when it comes to investing because I have, and there's a lot to take from it. But if you're being objective, you understand that they've gotten the ball wrong. I mean, they've gotten it wrong a lot of times. They've gotten it wrong a lot of times. But the fact is, when you're investing, you don't have to always be right either. That's another great point about this. You do not have to always be right. And you have to really pay attention to what people do and not necessarily what they say as well, right?
Hallelujah.
Here's what I'll say. Warren Buffett, and this is from studying his biography, he started investing in 1942. He was born in 1930. He started investing in 1942. He became a billionaire by the time it was 1985. So that's 43 years of investing, which is amazing, by the way, to be able to pull that off. If you look at Vitalik Buterin, who's the creator of Ethereum, he just became a billionaire this past week. It took him 10 years, right?
Right.
Because of Moore's law, things are moving at such a faster pace right now.
Tell them what
Things
Moore's
are
law is.
compounded even faster. You can do
Gotta
your
eat.
Googles because I don't want to go too deep. I didn't even
Alright.
mean to say that. I want to get too deep because I'll start talking about Moore's law. We'll be here a couple hours. But the point is, things are moving a lot faster. So he's become a billionaire in about a 10-year period. So I say that to say this. Courtney is exactly right. You have these old guys who don't understand what's happening in front of them, because the thing about Bitcoin, and we talk about this in our course, is that it's not just a financial product. It's really revolutionary, because Bitcoin has the ability, and especially for folks that look like us, folks of color, has the ability to get us out of an entire system. If we really understand Bitcoin, we understand that it's an ability to transact value and high levels of value at that without being in the system. And when you talk about that system, these guys, you look at the companies that Berkshire owns. If you look at their balance sheet, they have about 10 banks, right? And that is the industry which is really being affected. But they have the banks. And what I say is watch what people do and not what they say. Some of the banks that they own are getting into cryptocurrency or already into cryptocurrency, have cryptocurrency desks, have cryptocurrency investments. So they can go over here and say one thing, but you own a bunch of banks that are getting into that space. Watch what they do, not what they say, right? As Elon Musk talks about Dogecoin and it pumps, what is Elon putting on the balance sheet of his company? Just pay attention.
He put Dogecoin on his balance sheet.
I say that to say this: pay attention to what people do, not necessarily what they say, because you can learn a lot from doing that as well. So they can come out here and talk all they want, but they're actually, the crazy part is, as crypto continues to do what it's doing in terms of revolutionizing our system, they'll profit from it. You know, as long as they're here, they'll profit from it. As they're slandering it, they'll still profit from it. And that's what's amazing about this conversation right here. Corey, I know something you want to say, brother.
No, I was going to say every big bank in America will have Bitcoin on its balance sheet or already has Bitcoin on its balance sheet by the end of the year. There's not going to be a big bank in the country that's not going to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet, because at this point it's being transacted to the point where they're going to have to be able to offer it to their preferred customers. And if they can't offer it to their preferred customers, then they're going to be behind and they're going to die. So every big bank in this country.
And here's something else I want to say as we continue this conversation. Make sure you stay to the end of this, because we're going to be giving away a little bit of Bitcoin. We want to make sure we get folks started, especially those that haven't been in Bitcoin. So let's stay away as we have this conversation. Towards the end, we'll start to give away some Bitcoin. So I definitely want to put that out there. The other thing I want to do in terms of just setting this conversation is to kind of really talk about why they're scared of Bitcoin, right? So, and for those who are watching in the chat, just give me an indication of what cryptocurrencies do you buy? Do you buy Bitcoin or do you buy more than Bitcoin? And what's your favorite crypto? So I can get an idea of who we have here watching with us and your experience level in terms of cryptocurrency. Because again, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, but it's not all of cryptocurrency. And that's a lot of the mistake that I get from folks. And they say, well, I own Bitcoin. And I say, okay, you own Bitcoin. They say, yeah, I have Doge. That's my Bitcoin. No, that's your crypto. That's not your Bitcoin. So there's a difference. So I want to see what we have in here. So Monica says ETH. So we got Bitcoin, ETH. Okay, VET. So, all right, so Talisha, you out here though. You part of the VET.
Yeah, she got clever VET.
Yeah. Once people tell me they got VET, I already know what it is. VET is like they got an army. I don't even.
Yeah,
they come at your neck. They like a gang. But all right, so she really knows what she's doing out here. What else we got? Very little experience. Just started buying Doge. Okay.
While people are in here and they're telling us, there is the poll still, there's new people, so if they can just let us know if they have invested in crypto.
Okay, yeah, sure. So go to the poll as well and let us know. So Jocelyn says none. There's a poll in here as well. Just started with Bitcoin, learning about others. All right, so I'm glad to see we got different experience levels. No experience at all. So that's cool too. Here's what I will say. One of the great things about having conversations like this is I believe that all of us, even if you're new, should really study this space. I'm glad you're here as a place to get started, but take your education beyond here. All three of us have put together a course together, but outside of that, just make sure you do your reading and understand what's happening, because this is going to change everything. This is really going to change everything. So you have to just be abreast of what's going on around you. What'd you say, Corey?
said she got scammed, can you give us a short?
Corey, I can't hear you, brother.
Oh, my fault. For the young lady who said she got scammed, can she give us like a my fault?
Yeah, let us know what happened. Let us
know what happened.
How'd you get scammed?
What's going on?
I can't turn my camera back on. My fault.
Let me.
Hold on. I think Court might have blocked you from doing that, but Court's like, she's security. She don't play no games, but yeah. Okay, one sec. Yeah, let us know. We want to make sure. And does anybody have any specific questions about getting started in crypto, or any best practices when you're in the crypto space? Because I got a lot of those questions from folks that said they were coming. Brianna is not playing any games out here. She got Cardano, Vet, Eve, Dot, Link. All right, so she's out here.
Yeah, she in these streets.
And what's up, Brianna? How are you, by the way?
Since we're talking about it, I want to talk about JP Morgan. I want to call them out on the carpet because
let's go.
Oh man,
biggest offender of do what I say and not as I do, because they were the first players in the Ethereum alliance, and at the same time their CEO was like, no, Bitcoin is terrible, we're not doing this, and crypto this, and like really slandering. This is like 2017, 2018, like really slandering. And when I started doing my research, I was like, hold on, you were really literally sitting in the Ethereum alliance and you talking all that, like for real? And it's like verifiable. It wasn't like when you look up Ethereum alliance, you can actually see like they'll have a listing of all of the partners, and JP Morgan is right there. And you're just like, are you serious? Did you not know, Mr. CEO? Of course you did. But you had to find your way in the space before you told everybody else about it, or you gave your seal of approval. And I think that's just disingenuous. Because at the end of the day is that we as people, we're well more nimble and easier to adapt than a large corporation. So they felt like we were going to be able to jump on it before they could really, exploit it and find a way for them to make the most money or extract the most money.
Yeah. They was out in the open buying Bitcoin as they were telling people not to buy it. They were literally in the open doing that.
Because this is why I always bring up the precious metals part, because precious metals is what made me really adapt. So my brother Corey here is the person that put me down with crypto. He told me buy it. I'm like, well, I'm trying to research this, buy it, and just shut up and buy it. So I did. One of the greatest decisions I made, by the way, is listening to Corey. See, Corey, I gave you props. But because I was in the precious metal space, once I started to study it, it made sense because they have a lot. They're very similar. I would call them brother and sister. The difference is precious metals is physical, where crypto is digital. But they have a lot of the same attributes in terms of being decentralized, right? So I say that to say this. JP Morgan has done this before. And if you guys don't believe me, you can go Google JP Morgan and precious metals. They pulled the same stunt in the precious metal space. JP Morgan has done so many shady things. I'm like, someone made an argument before that JP Morgan is more of a cartel than a bank.
It is.
But I'm like, I mean, what's the difference if you really think about it? They've done the same thing in the precious metal space in terms of controlling the asset class and suppressing it so they can buy a lot. JP Morgan got caught with a boat that had a bunch of cocaine in it, and that story just disappeared. And again, go Google these things. These are all facts. So you have to really watch what some of these banks and some of these bankers are doing, because the thing about banks is they have a lot of control on what happens in our culture and society. And if you just study what they do, you can see where a lot of things are going. In the crypto space, what they did was pretty much egregious, though. It's crazy.
We got one question in the Q&A about
Dash.
where they should start.
All right, so Dash, here's what I'll say, Dash. You already started by coming to see us tonight. That's the most amazing thing. The education is key within the crypto space because, as someone mentioned, you can get scammed in the space. There's a lot of bad actors in the space because we're still fairly new. This is the wild, wild west. But education is paramount. That's what I'll say. The next thing I'll say is, as you're in the crypto space and you start to, set up accounts, make sure you're using someone's affiliate link. Because the best part about crypto is getting free crypto, because now your returns are, whatever they are, infinite, because you didn't pay anything for it. So you want to make sure you get set up on an exchange. The easiest way is if you already use Cash App, you can just use that as just a way to get started, right? So there's best practices, there's better ways of doing things, but I like to tell people to do whatever's going to get you started. The key is to get started, right? So if you have Cash App, go there and just get a couple of dollars of Bitcoin. This is the way to get started, so you can start
get a literal dollar. You can get literally $1 to get started.
Yeah, so but again, now you have access to us. You can get with us on, at our various social media sites. We'll make sure to get you all the different sites that you need to get started. But education is paramount, and you are here. That's the best thing. Does anybody have any specific questions about cryptocurrency or best practices or websites or wallets or anything like that? I want to make sure we try to answer those questions while we're here as well. But just getting back to the overall topic though, these guys, and a lot of times what people will say is, well, they've made $1 billion, so they're obviously right. And I want to make sure you guys understand that's not the case, because as Courtney brought up, when you look back at the tech sector, they missed that as well. I mean, they're now investors in Amazon as well as Apple, but they're at took them time to study that space and then get into it and admit they were wrong, right? So, these guys are in the 90s. Who knows how long they'll be around? But deep dive into wallets. Own your keys, right? So here's the thing about wallets, and we get into this extensively within our course. But I will say this: you have to own your keys. If you don't own, as my brother Bitcoin Zay says, if you don't own your keys, you don't own your cheese, right? So own your keys, you own your crypto. If you don't own your keys, you don't own your crypto. Now, what do I mean by that? If you're buying cryptocurrency on Robinhood, you do not own cryptocurrency. You have an IOU from Robinhood, right? So that's what I mean. When you own your keys, you essentially are in charge of your value, and you can transact value with someone. If you buy crypto on Robinhood and I say, hey, send me $10 of Bitcoin, you can't. It's impossible because you don't own your keys.
Well, with Coinbase, you kind of sort of do, because you can move your crypto off of Coinbase and onto another platform.
Yeah, Coinbase does
So
allow you to
you own the keys on Coinbase. You don't own you own the crypto on Coinbase.
Yeah,
now, if you leave it on the exchange and something happens to it, that's something totally different. But you do actually own the keys on Coinbase because you can move it.
So for all you folks who have Coinbase, do not leave your crypto on Coinbase. You can move it off of Coinbase, but the thing is, you still shouldn't leave it on Coinbase. But you can move it off of Coinbase. You can buy on Coinbase right now, and then you can send it to your own personal wallet. Robinhood, you won't be able to do that.
Not right away. Only thing with Coinbase, they will. The keys are so. If you press on any of the crypto that they have on Coinbase, and if you push like transfer and try to move it, they'll give you a string of numbers. That's the key.
Yeah,
that's the key right there.
And not trying to get too technical, but there's public and then there's private keys. Your public key is also the one that allows you to send value to your public key. On Robinhood, you don't even have a public key, and that's what we mean. So you get the public key, but there's public keys and private keys. I am impressed by Gemini and wonder what your thoughts are. Here's what I will say about Gemini. It's a great question, by the way. And Gemini is another exchange which is owned by the Winklevoss twins, and what they're building is actually impressive because they're building up a whole portfolio of companies. They own Nifty Gateway, which is huge in the NFT space. They're a huge investor in BlockFi, which is huge in the DeFi space, and they're buying different things within the crypto space. So they're building an overall ecosystem. So I'll be interested to see if they have any thoughts on going public. And they had a license, I believe, in New York, some sort of banking license. And Court probably knows about that license they had. I don't know about the banking license, but anyway. But to answer your question about Gemini, they're not the cheapest, but to me, they have probably one of the most beautiful platforms in terms of being able to buy crypto. They do now have Gemini Earn, where you can stake. Their rates aren't as good as say, Celsius or Crypto.com, but you can do that there. So I do like their product overall. I do use their product. In fact, Gemini is where I dollar cost average Ethereum. Now, when I buy from Gemini, I always generally send it off of there, but I do use it to dollar cost average Ethereum. I use a different site for Bitcoin, which is called Swan Bitcoin, just because it's the absolute cheapest. But for my Ethereum, I use Gemini, as well as Chainlink. So, but I do like them. I'm impressed by them as well, Monica. I'm also impressed with them. But I will admit that you can find things cheaper if you actually start to do the math, in terms of what you pay. So, should I not purchase on Robinhood?
No, you should buy nothing on there. Don't buy anything. You don't own anything on Robinhood.
Yeah.
Don't buy stocks on there. because you can't pass those stocks on to your kids. You got to liquidate it. Don't buy crypto in there because you don't own the keys. Don't buy anything.
All right, calm down, Court. Here's what I'll say.
Especially not crypto though.
I
don't own it.
I have a love-hate relationship with Robinhood, right? And I'm gonna let you talk, Court.
I do too. Breathe.
Here, I'll give you my perspective. You can take the floor, Court. Here's what I'll say about Robinhood. The reason I have a love-hate relationship with Robinhood is this. Being in the finance space for so long, it was difficult for me to get people involved in any kind of finance. Robinhood changed that because of their platform being so easy to use. It's pretty and it's not complicated. They figured that part out. They have a lot of flaws though. So the love part is because I've been able to get people started. And once they got started on Robinhood and started getting an understanding, I always tell them to move away from Robinhood. Go to one of the big boys. So I kind of have a love-hate. I have a complete hate when it comes to crypto because it's kind of disingenuous what they're doing. It's not really cryptocurrency you own. So, but Court, what's your perspective on Robinhood?
So, Robinhood, I agree with you, Jimmy. I feel like there's a love-hate. I do love that, in fact, and I actually teach from Robinhood. I was teaching from Robinhood until like relatively recently. And I like it because it does get people, it's easy to use. It just kind of looks, it takes the fear out of it. Now, I do think on the other side, it gamifies everything entirely too much, and you really just don't realize what you're doing. And here's the other thing about being in financial services for such a long time. I say that Robinhood is more for an intermediate investor and not a beginner. And the reason why I say that is the ability that you have in terms of options and in terms of margin is really more than you would ever receive if you were in a traditional brokerage house. And a lot of people are like, we're democratizing, investing for the people. And it's like, it's cool, but that's how you get yourself into trouble when you don't understand it. So typically with margin, you have to have about $25,000 in cash for you to actually have margin available to you in traditional brokerage spaces. In Robinhood, it's 10% of that. It's even actually less than 10%. It's $2,000. And again, it kind of just puts you in a and then you have the ability to use options. And then
they changed that.
It's 2,000 with traditional brokerages too.
But that's recent. That's as of recent. That's because Robinhood changed the game. When Robinhood came out, everybody had to adjust.
Okay. The same thing with actually commissions. Robinhood was the pusher of the agenda of commission-free trading. So everybody else was like, and I don't know if you guys remember, like when I started investing, I was paying $30 a trade. And then
my first shares I bought a Coca-Cola cost me, I had to buy 100 shares and it cost me $50.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
so
I was paying 16. So
the entire game has changed.
I feel so it went from 50 to 30 to 16. So I got in when it was 16. So
and hold up, not only did I pay 50, I had to pick up the phone and call somebody. And I remember it was what's the name? I remember I had a Scott Trade account. I couldn't fund it online. I had to take a physical check to their office, was like 16th and Walnut, and had to wait for the check to clear. So now is the greatest time ever to get rich because you can just open your phone and have access to crypto. You can have access to crypto, metals, real estate, stocks, the whole nine just with your cell phone. It's amazing. We have another question, a comment here. So Anjali says, I don't know what's wrong with devices, but basically, hold on, pull this back up.
All right, while you do that, let me finish up on Robinhood. So
okay, go ahead. I'll get the question. Go ahead.
With Robinhood, a couple of things you cannot, and this is PayPal too, you cannot take your crypto with you. So I did like a reel a couple of weeks ago on Instagram that people were like, you have 3 things that you want to do with, or that you can do with any of your investments. You can buy, sell, or transfer. So with Robinhood, you can buy your stocks, you can sell your stocks, you can transfer it to another brokerage house, but you can buy your crypto, you can sell crypto. I should put it this way. You can buy, sell crypto, but you can't transfer it. And that's part of it because you don't own your keys. So you're too bad. So it's disingenuous because you feel like, yeah, I have this Doge, I can do whatever I want. I'm going to hold on for dear life. And you really can't if you want to leave Robinhood. You can't take it with you. Same thing with PayPal. You can't take it with you. In terms of beneficiaries and things like that, because when your investment accounts typically go outside of probate, they transfer to your family. But Robinhood is just like, I don't know what to do, what to tell you. Your family's probably gonna have to liquidate. I don't know. And that's and I really have taken issue with that because again, you're putting everybody in this position where everybody can get on with Robinhood, but you don't have the basic things that are included in having an investment account.
It's not for wealth building.
It's not. And I mean, it's a good place to get started, but it's not a good place to finish. And I think
I'm I'm going to push back on that. I think that's a terrible place to get started because most people end where they start. And you shouldn't even get started somewhere.
Well, but Core, I get your point, but that's why I said I have a love-hate with it because, like, you're right? So a lot of people end where they start, but the thing is, without Robinhood, there are certain people I know who now have moved away from Robinhood who would have never started because Robinhood opened up their eyes to, okay, so this is just that easy. Now I just have to take a little bit more knowledge. Now I'm at TD or I'm with Fidelity. They would have never started.
Like the more I study Robinhood as a teacher, it pisses me off.
I get it.
Is because most people end where they start, and then they're not for wealth building. If we're going to teach wealth building, then Robinhood is not the place for anybody that's trying to build wealth.
Now, here's what I will say also, because I'm not trying to turn this whole webinar into a poop on Robinhood thing, right? They're still fairly young in the grand scheme of things. So they still have an opportunity to get it right because they are.
There are brokerages younger than them that have figured out things that they haven't figured out.
so
that's not an excuse. I'm not giving that to them as an excuse.
They'll be going public later this year, and now they have to answer the shareholders. So I do believe that they will change things, right? But I still have I love hate. But let me get to this point because someone was talking about being scammed. It says, I don't know what's wrong with the device. And basically, I stepped out with 500 and was told the return would be like 5 to 10K and got the runaround, was told I had to pay to get my money. Just a big mess. Too much to type. My apologies, but I'm not scared to say I got scammed. Just want to know more so I can do better. The first thing you did was give your value to someone else, right? So the thing about cryptocurrency in general, it's about decentralization, but it's also about control. It gives you the ability to control your own value. So when you see people in your inbox and online and they're telling you, give me your crypto and I'll do this, just run. Now, there are centralized places where you can stake your crypto and you can actually make revenue with that. But that's not anyone telling you to send me your stuff. What they're doing is they're staking it and loaning it out, but they're paying, they're essentially operating the same way a bank would, but they're giving you the higher percentage of that return. We get into that a little bit within our course as well. We get deeper into that. But just understand, if someone's asking you to give you their crypto, just do not do it because, they're lying to you. I'm just going to be honest with you.
But anytime you see a guaranteed return or you're going to definitely make wise, like you got to run. Like, that right there, top off, that's it. It's a scam. So just know that they're trying to lure you with the idea of the possibility of getting something. So just run.
Yeah. So we got, so Rochelle says, if what brokerage should I use, not Robinhood, is Coinbase. Okay, so Coinbase is a cryptocurrency exchange, not necessarily a brokerage, and so that's a little bit different. But if you're talking about buying crypto, Coinbase is okay place to start. And on Rochelle, we can get you started with some other places as well. But if you're talking about an actual brokerage, now there's all kinds of different brokerages we could talk about too. You could talk about M1, which allows is great for new users as well.
TD, Fidelity.
Yeah.
Vanguard, like all of the older Schwab, Merrill, all of those older brokerages, any of those will do.
Mm-hmm. So where do you set up a wallet? Depends upon what kind of wallet you have. So there's a lot of wallets out there. There's Trust Wallet, there's Exodus Wallet, there's MetaMask Wallet. Those are hot wallets. You also have cold storage wallets, Ledger, Trezor. So there's
Nexo too. You got to mention Nexo in those wallets.
Well, Nexo is not more of a Nexo is a little bit different. It's kind of more like a it's like
an in between kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like Celsius, right? But there's the answer to the question though. There's different types of wallets, right? There's hot wallets, cold wallets, and it all depends upon where you're at and your level of understanding in terms of setting up your wallet. But what I will say is, you can look up Trust Wallet and MetaMask. There's always great places to start as well. Don says you snapped on Robinhood. Clever is a good one too. There's a lot of different wallets. Coinbase actually has their own wallet. Okay, so someone says Clever IO wallet and upcoming exchange. Yeah, so that someone actually mentioned that too. Damn, the 70s were wild. Where should I buy crypto? Kimberly. So Kimberly, it depends upon which kind of crypto you want to buy. If you're looking to buy Bitcoin, I like people to look up Swan Bitcoin. And what I will say is this though, make sure you get someone's affiliate link no matter which place you set it up. But there's Gemini, there's Swan. I'm not a fan of Coinbase, although I understand where they fit within the parameters of everything. They're the big name in the space, but they've done a lot of things I don't like as an organization. But that's
they give you about $100 in free crypto once you get on there.
You can get free crypto by taking those classes. but there's a lot of places you can start. And, you know, I can shoot you some links too. If you want to, you know, get with me, I can give you some links of the different places to get started. So where should we move from if we have non-crypto investments? And I think Corey already answered that question. If you're looking to do like long-term, just buy and hold things, I like the M1 platform because of the way they allow you to set up pies and you can set it and forget it. But there's, to answer that question, there's a lot of places. There's TD, there's Fidelity, there's Ally, which is another good one. So there's a lot of different places.
I do suggest if you are going to move your holdings from Robinhood, other than your crypto, is that you move it in kind. You do an in-kind movement, in which that means you basically pick up all like your one share of Apple or whatever you have, and you move it to another place. So you move it to E-Trade, you move it to Merrill, you move it to wherever it's going. But that means that you're not cashing out and you're not giving yourself a taxable event. So you want to avoid, I mean, I'm not telling you to avoid tax, like there's a difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance. So let me clarify there. Tax evasion is bad, tax avoidance is fine. But again, you don't want to inadvertently create a taxable event for yourself, not knowing. So again, if you're saying, hey, I want to leave Robinhood, that's fine. You don't have to cash out. You do have to move what you have to another place. And there's actually a process to do it. It's called an ACAT transfer. So if you have questions about it, you can just look it up. And it's easy. I did mine from Robinhood to public, relatively easy. And I've moved stuff around before. So it is very, very easy. But just be careful. And if you don't know what you're doing, get somebody to go on the phone. I'd rather you take your time with it as opposed to make a mistake. Because once you do it, we can't undo it.
And by the way, great point, Courtney. That's another problem with Robinhood. Try to get somebody on the phone with Robinhood. It's not going to happen, right? So I've had a Robinhood account up until literally last week when I decided, like, I kept an account just as a way to teach, but I just got away from it altogether, and I just did an ACATS transfer out to a TD. But the question here is, all right, here's a question.
So we had Talisha on here. She said she recommends the Clever.io
I already read that one.
Upcoming exchange.
Yeah, we just read that. But Monica has a question here. If you're using different platforms and you want to transfer your coins between them, this is called taxation. Also, can I buy crypto in an IRA? So the first part of that is if you're transferring from yourself to yourself, no, right? Because you're just moving it from yourself to yourself. Now, the thing about that is this. Courtney just mentioned Robinhood and transferring your stocks. You can't do that with your crypto. The only way to get your crypto out of Robinhood is to actually cash out, which does, you know, it can be a taxable event, you know, especially if you made a lot of money. Say you bought Doge at just throwing it out there because that's where a lot of people bought it. That will cause you a taxable event, which is problematic because if you didn't buy a Robinhood, you'd be able to transfer to your own wallet, but you can't do that. In terms of an IRA, there are self-directed IRAs that allow you to buy cryptocurrency. Yes, so to answer that question, yes. Your traditional brokerages, as of right now, a lot of them don't have it, but there are certain self-directed IRAs that allow you to do it. All right, so what's the other questions we have here? We got a Q&A question. I'll get back to that. Talk more about fees, how to avoid them or keep them low. So that's another thing that a lot of people talk about with Robinhood is the fees, right? So that's why I use something called Swan Bitcoin, where you set it and forget it. That minimizes your fees. Also, a lot of times with cryptocurrency, it's better to buy $100 or more to minimize your fees as well. So there's a lot of ways to minimize fees, but you can also do a comparison point between the different exchanges. Because someone actually just mentioned in here, which was Tim. Salute to you, Tim, for the question. Why is Ethereum Classic cheaper on Coinbase than Robinhood? In my experience, and it fluctuates from time to time, everything is cheaper on Coinbase than Robinhood because Robinhood, again, isn't really a crypto exchange, right? So, and it all depends upon what's going on within their specific market of buying and selling. And in my experience, I've seen Bitcoin be completely different on other platforms.
It's about volume. It's about the volume on that platform.
But so that's why the price is going to
be the price is going to be tagged to the volume on that exchange.
But again,
so that's why you'll see different prices on different exchanges.
And they're not.
The price will be tagged to that volume. Sorry about that, Jim.
No, I'm just saying, but Robinhood really isn't a crypto exchange per se. So that's why you'll see that difference in price. But you're right, Core. Because you can go to Gemini as well as Coinbase, as well as somewhere else, and you'll see different prices. But it's all based upon the volume. But again, Robinhood really isn't an exchange per se. Having to unlearn bad habits is detrimental in the crypto space. That's an absolute fact.
So,
great comment.
Courtney?
Give an explanation. So think about Robinhood that you have exposure to crypto.
Yeah.
So think about you just have exposure. So when you have exposure to it, you don't necessarily have it, but you have exposure to it. So think of it that way. So that's, so I think if we explain it that way, like, oh, I have exposure to it. I can't really take it with me, but I have exposure. So just think of it that way for concept wise. Go ahead.
That's a great point. No, I'm just reading through the questions here. So you don't necessarily need someone to trade for you. You can do it yourself. Absolutely. That's where education is paramount. Yep.
That's exactly what you should do in crypto. You should always trade your own crypto and all of that stuff. No one should be trading your crypto for you.
Mm-hmm. I would appreciate.
That's the whole point of it, because it's peer-to-peer. So if you got somebody else controlling your crypto for you, then it's not peer-to-peer anymore.
Great point, Corey, because that ties into the overall theme for this evening, right? Because a lot of times when you deal with banks, and anytime you do a transaction with a bank, they have that nasty four-letter word known as fees, right? Right. So they can charge you going and coming and all that. And these gentlemen own a bunch of banks who make a lot of money on things that we're now taking control of. We're taking control of a lot of that. So there'll be fees, but even those fees are peer-to-peer. So we're cutting out the middleman. A lot of the crypto is cutting out that middleman. If I exchange with Corey, right, and I may pay a small fee for that exchange, but the person getting that fee is another person.
It's whoever controls that node is getting the fee. It's not the bank.
Unless we continue to stay on the sidelines and let the big boys accumulate it all, and then we'll be right back to where we came from. But that's a whole other story. So, but that's the answer to your question.
Paying a fee. Like, I feel like Robinhood has opened the door to a very dangerous place. Like, anytime that you're transacting business, there's going to be a fee. Now, it depends on how much that fee is, but I think Robinhood really kind of put it in people's position like, oh, we should be paying fees. And it's like, well, no, there's a cost to doing business. You can even see on every single trade, there's a 6-cent SEC fee. There's always going to be a fee. You just want to minimize it. But I think we just become addicted to not paying fees. And I just don't know how we got there. So.
Yeah, we took that value.
I know how we got there. Robinhood told you that there was no fees. That's exactly how we got there.
There's that.
let's be very, very clear about exactly how we got here.
Corey going on a full rant tonight, but listen, I would appreciate the links. Currently, I have Doge with Robinhood. You have a derivative of Doge. You don't actually have Doge, but I get your point.
Yeah, you have exposure to Doge.
Kimberly, hang around, Kimberly, because we'll show you how to get all those different links and all that. ZZ, what's up, ZZ? How are you? Thank you for reaching out. I'm glad you came. I hope that I'm wondering this correctly. Do you prefer a cold storage over TrustWallet? I have TrustWallet and someone suggested a Ledger, which I'm interested in buying. I watched a video about them on YouTube. 99 Bitcoin. That's a good channel, by the way. I bought my Bitcoin through Swan after learning the hard way about Robinhood. Okay, so at least you learned though. See, you live till you learn. I'm trying to learn certain things without making a mistake. I cashed everything out of Robinhood, and I didn't know that I could have transferred it, but I can't cry over spilled milk. Now, with your crypto, you couldn't transfer it, so you had no choice. Now, cold storage is the absolute safest way to have your crypto. With cold storage, though, you'll minimize the amount of you can operate within the DeFi space. You still can through things like Aave, and there's other ways that you can operate within the DeFi space, but you get lower rates. But it's the absolute safest way because, again, a cold wallet means it's not connected to the internet. So you avoid, no one even knows what you have other than you and what's on your ledger, right? Now you can connect that ledger to the internet to transact value, but it's only when you do that and then you go right back offline. So that's the absolute best way. A ledger does have a fee with it when Trust doesn't. So Trust is a good way to start because Trust is free. And with Trust, you control not only your public keys, but your private keys. So Trust is good, but Trust just isn't the top of the line when it comes to best practices with safety that a cold wallet is. But you have to pay for that too. Okay, so we're gonna move on in a second. Free shipping got us allergic. All right. So good. So great questions, you guys. Those are all great questions. I appreciate that. Is it possible for someone like Buffett to buy all the Bitcoins available? No. And I'm gonna tell you why, Don. He absolutely can't, because he's never getting mine. So as long as we don't allow those folks to do it.
As long as you don't sell, they can't buy.
Yeah, so there you go. And the thing is, we want to make sure we don't allow those folks to get to it. But let's talk about this though. Let's get on with this presentation. How to invest in cryptocurrency. You can go directly, indirectly, or exchange traded funds. And we talk a lot about the various ways within our course at 3waysforcrypto.com. But Court, let you talk about this.
Wait, who, me?
Yeah, you got it. The slide is yours. So directly, because I want you to talk about the ETFs. What I'll say is, directly. I'm gonna talk about directly, so you can buy it on the various exchanges. But I want you to talk about the other ways because you do an amazing job of talking about how to get in the crypto space without being in the crypto space.
Okay. So we talked about directly. We covered coins. That's the way you get in. NFTs. We didn't actually even talk anything about NFTs, Jimmy. I mean, we'll be here all night,
Yeah,
but
we're gonna chill with that.
DeFi, there's so many different ways to get into the direct space, actually touching your crypto. In terms of indirectly, we talked about we've hit a couple of places where crypto is a whole kind of system, and it's just not cryptocurrency. It's just not that one thing. So you have companies that, it's all computers. So you have chips are necessary to kind of be in the space. And then also we have a chip shortage. So that's another problem. And so there's always kind of some way to kind of get into the space. And then also we have kind of traditional companies that are really kind of not even sticking their toe in, they're just kind of jumping their whole body in. For example, Visa and DocuSign have been really working in tandem on a lot of different projects. One most recently is that the one they're working on right now is they're working on a rental project where there's no middleman, there's no enterprise. It's just, Visa and DocuSign, and they work together to make that transaction work. So you have those companies doing that type of work. So there's a couple of different places across the crypto, ecosystem where companies are getting in the space. And then, we talked about JP Morgan. I didn't really talk about a lot in the class because I'm feeling some type of way about these banks that are kind of, like saying one thing and then doing another. And I just don't want to give them that play. I mean, a lot of people think that PayPal is a crypto company, and we call it picks and let me back up. So we call it picks and shovels because it's kind of things that are necessary to be successful in the crypto space. But I say that to say, PayPal is in the space, but as a consumer and trying to get crypto through PayPal, you can't take your keys with you. So what's the point? So there's and then you also have Coinbase, which is an exchange. It just recently went public through a direct listing. And we talk about what a direct listing is in the class. So there's just so many different ways to kind of find your way in the space without necessarily jumping into crypto. And I think Monica made a very good point, is that you can't necessarily buy crypto in your IRA that's sitting at an E-Trade or a Merrill Lynch or someplace like that. So you have to find another way. So you can invest in stocks, or you can do what Jimmy talked about, which is a self-directed brokerage account, and then go that way. But again, if you're looking to kind of have some exposure in the space, but still remain in your stock accounts, this is a kind of the way to do it. Mm-hmm. And then you also have exchange traded funds, which are a basket of these cryptocurrency companies that are kind of sitting there together. So they're kind of all over the place. And one of the things that I love about exchange traded funds more so than anything else is that there's a lot of foreign companies that you may not have access to that are actually in the exchange traded fund. So you get that opportunity to touch a foreign company that you may not have been able to because it's traded in Canada, traded in China, and you don't have that access. So it provides that too. So there's just so many different ways to get in the space, to not necessarily through coins, but it's something that supports the space.
Absolutely. So we do have a couple questions here. I'd like to join Kimberly for the links. Actually, we got you with the links at the very end. So book recommendations. I'll give 3 quick books. The first book would be Bitcoin in Black America by Isaiah Jackson. And I think that book is powerful because the book talks about the technology, but also talks about the revolutionary aspect of cryptocurrency. And the thesis of his book is crypto can be something for the Black community in terms of moving us forward. I like that book. In terms of the technical piece of Bitcoin, is a book called The Internet of Money by Andreas Antonopoulos, who's a teacher in the crypto space. It's called The Internet of Money. That's another good one. And the third one is a book that I recommend. It's more of a story, but I think it actually talks about, you could get a little bit of understanding of where the space came from, which is Bitcoin Billionaires. And it's kind of the biography of the owners of Gemini, but it talks about their story throughout cryptocurrency. So those will be the 3 books. Those 3 books will give you an idea, first of all, the technical piece, the revolutionary piece, but also kind of the narrative, the story around it. Are crypto ETFs at brokerage houses? So that's a question.
I talk about that a lot in the class. Some of them are, some of them aren't. It just really depends. And it also depends on your brokerage house. Like what Merrill will offer you as an investor is not the same thing what E-Trade may offer you as an investor. When I think you're looking more for a little bit more, I guess, color to your investments, I would look more to E-Trade than I would Merrill Lynch. And I say that because I have both accounts and I see the difference in what I can get on one versus the other.
Mm-hmm. All right. So those are those questions there. Let's see what we have in the chat here. Please tell us what is this class so I can join. Oh, great question, Monica. So, but we're going to get to that in 1 second, Monica. We got to talk about this because here's the last point that I want to make before we start talking about some other things. We're going to do some giveaways, talk about the class, but let's do this last piece here because a lot of people feel like they are late to the party because they look at the price of Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin, we're part of, it's a bull market. Bitcoin ran up past 60K. Right now, as we're speaking, it's about it's somewhere in the 50s. But you still can be an early adopter. And just a little bit of data for you guys to understand where we are in the grand scheme of things, right? So this technology adoption life cycle, this is where we are if you look at it. Less than 10% of the population right now own cryptocurrency, right? So that's less than 10% of the world population on crypto. And MasterCard did a survey because MasterCard themselves are getting into space. They did a survey, and this is one of the reasons why they're getting so heavily into the space. They talked to a lot of folks, and 40% of people say they plan to use crypto in the next year. And among millennials, the interest is even higher, right? So things are changing. Millennials are more willing to adapt new technology than others. 67% said they were more open to use the technology than they were a year ago. 77% said they're interested in learning more about it. And 75% of folks said that they would use crypto if they understood it better. So in 2021, because crypto is growing the way it is, the cryptocurrency space as a market cap exceeded the value of Apple and Amazon. That's how big the space is getting. So it's getting big, but it's still not too late. So Cordy, you want to speak about it? Not, because a lot of folks see the price of Bitcoin and say, oh man, it's too late now.
Yeah, I think it's super important to know where we are. I mean, we are still in the early adoption stage. I mean, so you always have your innovators, which I don't have on this particular graph, but you have your innovators, which are the very early people, and then you have your early adopters, then you have the early majority, late majority, and laggards. Basically, people who just the laggards are the people who had to get dragged to the party. Okay. And your early adopters, think about those people who are setting up. Those are the people that are setting up for the people to come to the party. So they're coming to the party for the bulk of people, which is either the majority, early or late, but you're still already there. So you got the best, we'll say the choicest wine. We have the choicest meats and cheese. You're there before, so you can kind of scope out where you want to go, in the buffet line when buffets open after COVID.
You get the prime cut because you was first in line.
Right. So you're first in line. So that's the same thing with early adopters. That's where we are. And again, I think people get overwhelmed by looking at the price per Bitcoin. They look at the price for ETH. They look at the prices and they're like, oh my goodness. And then they gravitate to something like Dogecoin because they're like, oh, it's so cheap. I can get so many of them. And it's the same thing that I talk about when we're looking at penny stocks. I mean penny stocks. When we're looking at them, people get so excited, like I can buy so many. If it moves up, 4 cents, then I'm a millionaire. And it's like, oh my goodness, but that's exactly what happened with Doge. So you're like, and so it's really hard. I'm going to be very honest. It's very hard to teach in some of these spaces when I turn around and I'm like, my little cousin who's just kind of playing around now has $30,000 in Doge. And it's like, heck, but it's real. But I think that's what happens in the early adopter space. Mm-hmm. And the way that you're able to kind of maintain across the adoption life cycle is that you become educated because you see the opportunities. Remember, Doge was actually a joke. And the whole point of Doge is what? To prove that any people will buy anything for any reason. Is that what it was?
It's proven.
Pretty much.
And look what's happening.
But the thing about what we need to talk about with, like you said, your cousin has $30,000 in Doge, is realized and unrealized gains. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these people who are putting this money in are not getting their value, at least the value that they put in, back out. And so what we call those people are bag holders, because what happens with a lot of these things is that people think it only can go one way, which is up. People buy at the top and think they buy it high and thinking it's going to go higher, which is a possibility. But when you buy things at the top, the percentages say it's going to go down even before it goes up. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have the cojones to hold you need to get value out of whatever you have, at least the value you put in, and then allow the other value to go in. You know what I mean? Because those things are not, you know, like unrealized gains are just that. It's just unrealized. And so you need to have realized gains from these things. And that doesn't mean realizing it in dollars and cents. It might mean moving it into another crypto to realize those gains or whatever. But don't just leave it sitting in whatever crypto had the run on without taking some of that out of there. Unrealized gains, they're just pretty. That's like painting on a wall that nobody can see. It doesn't matter how beautiful it is if you don't never realize it. It's like not having it.
Yeah.
But also, if you're in Doge and you made that run, you take your money, please hold 30% for taxes at least. And this is not tax advice. This is just a tax suggestion. A lot of people are going out, and it becomes, so when you sell within a year, it's over a year and shorter than a year. When you sell within the year, you're going to get hit with ordinary income. So the government's going to look at it like, oh, so-and-so made $80,000, but then they made 20,000 in Doge. They made $100,000, run us our money. So again, you have to keep that in mind. So be very careful about that. And I think that kind of goes to the point that Zizi was making. She asked, is there a way to find out what she's going to get taxed from cashing out all stock on Robinhood instead of transferring it? So I definitely suggest you talk to a tax professional. Everybody's tax situation is extremely different. And that's pretty much the best answer that I have for you, is basically just sit down and talk to a tax professional to see what's going on.
Yeah, because it depends upon everything else you got going on. Yeah, it's not just a simple answer.
And when I say take some off the top, I saw what you put in the chat, Monica. When I say take some off the top, that doesn't mean turn it into fiat money. What I mean is, if you put $1,000 in and it runs up to $10,000, you can take that same 1,000 and put it into Bitcoin or Ethereum or something like that. Whereas you're just moving it from one crypto to another. That doesn't create a taxable event.
Now,
so it doesn't mean that you change it into fiat.
Here's what I want to say. So we got a question. Anjane says, what's the basic price of crypto? It all depends upon which specific crypto you're buying. So, you can always look up the price of the cryptos. You can go right to any exchange and look up the price of those cryptos, but it all depends upon what you're buying. But here's what I want to say. I took all my money and put it into Bitcoin, but I created a taxable event, though. I mean, but you live and you learn. You didn't know any better. But that's the thing about dealing with Robinhood is and people buying crypto on Robinhood. They don't know that. That's why it could be problematic. Here's what I want to say. So we have a full masterclass. So we take a deep dive into everything that we talked about this evening. The masterclass you can find at 3waysforcrypto.com. Here's what we want to do for everybody that came to this webinar. We want to offer you a discount. So you get it at the early rate. You get it for $197 take $50 off by using this discount code here, which is Buffett, right? BUFFETT. Use that discount code, and you get $50 off of our masterclass. Now, here's what else I'll tell you about this. We take a deep dive into NFTs. We talk about DeFi. We talk about picks and shovels. We talk about direct listing. We get deep into a lot of things within this masterclass. This masterclass also gets you access to our private group, which is By the Hood University. And in that private group, we have daily conversations. We have a class every Sunday about stock options. We talk about real estate. We talk about crypto. We talk about everything. And you have the support of us as well as our full community. So you do get access to that, by getting this crypto course here. But the way to get it is 3 ways for crypto. But remember, when you do that, before you pay, use that discount code Buffett, which will get you that $50 off. Now, we want to give away some crypto to some folks here. So here's what I want to ask you guys, and I'll stop sharing my screen. How many of you guys have Cash App? That's the first thing I'm going to ask you guys. Put it in the chat. Who has Cash App?
Put a Y in the chat if you have Cash App.
Yeah, let us know who has Cash App. All right, so we got a bunch of Ys here, all right? All right, cool. Shout out to everybody who's answering now. Because here's what I want to do. I want to do this randomly, though. We want to give a couple people some Bitcoin on Cash App. So here's what I'm going to do. Let me stop sharing for a second. All right. Because I got to take these names. Court, have you started already?
Sure have.
All right, well, now Court's already ahead of me. So if you started and put them in there, I guess you could share your screen and we can do the random.
We're gonna spin the wheel. We're gonna play wheel of giveaway give away some cake.
Yeah, we're gonna give away some crypto here. Let me pull my Cash App so we can give away a little bit of crypto for you guys to get you started in your crypto journey. But again, don't forget, go threewaysforcrypto.com. Use that code Buffett to get a discount, but that gives you the full course as well as access to our community. And I'm telling you, the course is worth it because some of the stuff that we show in terms of the NFT space is stuff that you won't see anywhere else. Like, so just talking about NFTs briefly, because you probably hear all kinds of stuff about NFTs. The NFT space is hotter than ever. But we were cooking in the NFT space for, a couple of years at this point. And I mentioned this in the course. It's not because we were just like, those early adopters. We had a community of folks, and we built our community to the point where we have people that do nothing but crypto. We have a couple crypto millionaires within our actual group, and that's all they do is trade crypto, invest in crypto. They don't even believe in the actual banking system. So, exactly. It's one of the oldest use cases of blockchain. Yep. But now people are taking that use case and they're building on top of it and doing all kinds of interesting things. Like my favorite thing now is horse racing on the blockchain. I think that's amazing.
What, racing horses on the blockchain, Jimmy?
Yeah. So you actually
that's going down.
Yeah. So you have your horse, but that's another story. But yeah,
horse of a horse.
Blockchain. It's a real thing.
Of course.
And not only that, you can actually mate your horses too, like you do in real life, but you're doing it on the blockchain.
Breed them like mares.
You breed them on the blockchain. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that's a real thing, by the way. But we talk a lot about the NFT space. We talk a lot about the DeFi space, and you can get all that. Threewaysforcrypto.com. Use the code Buffett. So, Courtney, do you have everybody who's here to spin the wheel?
So I have. Listen, I'm typing as fast as I can.
No, take your time. We're gonna talk to the folks. So let's get some more questions out here.
Yeah, let's get some questions.
So it looks like everybody here has Cash App. So all right, we're gonna put you into our software, which is going to pick out a couple names randomly so we can send some crypto out there, just a way to get folks started. But does anybody have any more questions while we're getting this ready about anything crypto related? You want to ask Corey again why he hates Robinhood or anything you want to talk about?
I can tell you.
Dash says, take your time so I can download Cash App. Hey, Dash, if you're going to download Cash App, right, let me give you my link, man. Listen. I want to make sure I give you the link. So, I don't know if you're joking or you serious, but if you're serious, let me send you the link so I can get some, some Cash App chicken. I'm all about the affiliate life. And that's another thing I'm going to do.
It's 3 ways with the number 4 crypto.
I'll drop it in the chat. Let me see. It's 3waysforcrypto.com. So let me put it in the chat. Oh, Dash, 1 second, but let me put this in the chat too. 3 ways for crypto.
So, Marissa, if you sell your Dogecoin in Robinhood at a loss, there's no positive tax implication on that.
Yeah,
it's positive tax on a loss.
Yeah, so basically it gets deducted. You are able to take 3.
Oh, you're able to take a deduction. No, what I'm saying is like you won't get taxed when you owe. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
You won't owe.
So there you go. Go to 3waysforcrypto.com. I'm going to let me see what else I'm gonna do right here. Someone asked about the I'm gonna pull this up. So let me get a Cash App first so you can get started. And just in case you do win, I'm gonna give you listen, I'm all about this affiliate life.
You are hilarious, Jimmy.
Listen, I believe in that.
Listen, I'm here for it because I really I'm excited about my little selfies now.
All right, Zizi, great question. So what I was talking about Coinbase really isn't about the play. It's like Coinbase has some interesting things they do as an organization, which I don't bang with. But the reason that I don't use Coinbase to buy is because I use a site called Swan, which is actually cheaper than buying Bitcoin on Coinbase. And I'll put that in the link too, so everybody can take a look at that. And another thing about the link that I'm going to share with you for Swan, this link will also give you a free ebook. So this ebook is about Bitcoin as well. This will give you a lot of information, but it's a free ebook. I'm going to put that in the chat too, so you'll see the Swan Bitcoin. Let me see. Did I just send this to everyone? Let me make sure. I think
all panelists and attendees. I see it in the chat.
Yeah, but I don't know if I.
No, it's only to panelists. You got to put it to panelists and attendees.
Yeah, let me put it here. So first of all, Let me get the Cash App one first, so I can send that.
Ready to go.
You ready to go, Court?
All right, let me send this real quick. So that's the Cash App. 1 second, Court, so Dash can set up their Cash App, but you're ready to go. Here's the Swan Bitcoin. I'm going to send this to everybody. This Swan Bitcoin link that I'm sending will also get you a free ebook about Bitcoin. Also, how do I use my LLC to buy crypto? And is that a way to swerve some tax fees? Yes, but I'm not just talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about other crypto too. I already started Swan for my Bitcoin yesterday. No, Cora, but I was gonna say put the HTTP in there, but I'll put that there too.
Yeah.
HTTP.
So
But anyway, go ahead, Court.
No, so a lot of people feel like if you put something in an LLC, it makes it cheaper tax wise, and it doesn't. Honestly, let me clarify. It usually does not. 9 times out of 10, it will not. So I just be very careful about putting things in entities that you quite don't
Understand.
And there's usually, I would say like 9 times out of 10, it's not advantageous. And if you're going to do something like that, I would definitely talk to a tax professional or a legal professional before doing so. Because here's the other thing, with certain LLCs, depending on where you live, it costs you to register an LLC. It also costs you to maintain an LLC. So you may be creating a tax burden or a compliance issue that you didn't even imagine, trying to put yourself in a tax situation. And so again, in terms of having one in your LLC, unless your business is actually like crypto, I probably would not do that. I would do it directly.
She says it's something that she already has.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Here's what I will say though. If you want to keep like some of your reserves, like maybe you don't want to get out of the fiat system or what have you. Here's what I'll say. The one thing I say is this, is that Gemini specializes in corporate accounts more so than any of the other ones that I came across. You can actually get them on the phone or send them an email, and they'll break down the benefits and all that of having an LLC. Because a lot of folks won't even let you set it up, to be honest with you. But Gemini does specialize in corporate accounts. So let me see. You have different address, which is so you can use the 3 ways for crypto address. I mean that's the one that we're going to use to see in the 3 ways for crypto. That's how you get it. And use that code Buffett. So there you go. And Monica says 24/7 access in Gemini. Yeah. So here you go. So everybody's name is in here now. So whenever you're ready, Court, spin the wheel so we can pick the first person. And the first person is Mandy.
Mandy.
Okay, cool. I was looking like, oh, Lord.
Oh, they're gonna play us like that and put it in the middle, like
yeah, Mandy. So it's Mandy. So Mandy, if you're watching, Mandy, please put your cash tag in the chat, Mandy, so we can send you something over. We're gonna do 2 more folks. Let's just do 2 more.
Oh, fortune.
So Mandy, please put your cash tag in the chat. So hopefully Mandy didn't leave, because if Mandy don't give me the cash tag in a couple minutes.
Can you look at the participants to see if she's still there?
All right, but we're gonna got the 3rd one. So the first one is Mandy. Hold up.
Don Juan DeMarco.
Don, what's your cash tag, Don? All right, so Mandy, I got Mandy. Brent, as usual, was hating. So let's see.
Okay, so
Franklin said his name wasn't on the wheel.
Okay, hold on.
He must have came. Let's see what Mandy. I'm about to send you something now, Mandy.
Juan David.
So those are the 3.
We could do another one, Jim. I'll shoot you
Okay.
the cash app.
All right.
We can do one more.
All right. Let's do one more. So remember these names though. Remember these names though, because I'm still sending Mandy hers right now.
Okay.
Don just put his cash tag in there.
Okay. We Juan David.
All right. Cool. All right. So Mandy, I'm gonna send this to you now. And we got Juan David and Don. Miss me.
Okay, so wait,
All right, here we go. Miss me 2525.
Mhm.
All right.
Where's Ron David? Is he around?
I don't see one. I see Mandy. I see Don. I don't see.
I see Ron. I see Ron.
Oh, he said he don't have it. He's getting his cash yet.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Okay.
Hey, well, make sure you use that link in there to get your cash app. All right, so Mandy, I just sent you something. Let's see. If Don put his cash app in here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Don is DJ 0369.
Okay, got you. Don, I'm gonna send you something, Don.
Is that DJ O or DJ 03?
0.
It's 0.
0.
All right. So DJ 0369.
Okay, he just sent it.
All right, so I got you down.
One of my tabs, please. My tabs keep me happy.
All right,
That
so
drives
Mandy,
Jim
Don,
crazy too.
let me know if you got it. Let me know if you got it. Let me see. So Juan setting his up. So all right, so here we go. Mandy, you listen. Thank you for coming out, and you know, hopefully we'll see you within the group if you decide to join us. But if not, congratulations. But make sure you reach out, and also make sure you follow us all on social media too. The Ivy Investor and Buy the Hood. Let's see.
Okay,
So,
Don.
Don, you got it. Nice, Don. Congrats. So that's a little Bitcoin for you, Don. So when each Satoshi, which is a fraction of Bitcoin, becomes worth some money, you're going, you know, that's going to be a couple dollars I sent you, bro.
That's a few thousand Satoshis right there, man.
Yeah.
Access a die train. Go buy a t-shirt.
There we go. So Juan, I'm gonna make sure you got it before we get out of here. Just sent you something over too. So those are the 3 winners. Boom. So all three have been sent. So stack your sats. That's right, Talisha. Stack your sats. I'm gonna put it in here one more time so the folks can see where to get the course. But congratulations to all you guys who got some Bitcoin tonight.
You could definitely get it from there too, from Gumroad. Yeah, so the one that Talisha put in there, that's definitely